makes you laugh and smile and dance a lot and love everybody. Maybe that's why it's been called the hug drug. It's been illegal since 1985, but that doesn't seem to matter to ravers. Just ask my first guests, Odie, Nye, and Spike. First of all, Odie, can you tell us, like, why is Ecstasy so big in the whole rave scene?
Well, a lot of the rave kids are like, they're not into the more sexual side of things. They just want to have a good time and, like, dance and feel good about themselves. Because a lot of them have, like, family problems and stuff like that. And, I mean, there's a lot of people on the rave scene that I like to call homeless ravers, that they have problems at home, so they, like, run away from home and they rave. And Ecstasy makes you feel, like, warm and good about yourself. So they drop it and they feel good and they dance all night.
And when did you take it for the first time?
1988. I was at a club called Mars, and I was just pissed at the world one night. And I was listening to Moby playing what the beginnings of techno, what used to be around back then, like Kraftwerk and Derek May and stuff like that. And my friend was like, here, drop this. And I was like, oh, well. And I dropped, and I ended up sitting on a speaker all night, just letting the vibrations make me feel good.
And loving everybody.
Yeah.
You were, how old were you, though? You were...
I was maybe 14 or 15.
Okay. Describe to me, say I took Ecstasy, like, you know, an hour ago or whatever. What would I be,
to discover
what would I be feeling?
Right now, you'd probably start feeling kind of tingly, like what I call this antsy feeling, which makes you want to move around. You feel really comfortable, feeling really comfortable in your body.
Really good about yourself.
And you realize
really good
the whole
about
world's
yourself.
about to change, and so are you.
Yeah. It opens your mind to a lot of really positive
energies.
things.
Okay.
Everybody starts looking good. You really get into the different people's vibes. You want to know who different people are. It's a good drug.
And you're not so judgmental. All your judgments, all your barriers, negative things that you've been taught to believe in disappear. And all of a sudden you can see things for the good in them as opposed to the bad, where society is all about, you look at the bad because you are bad and you are condemned. Ecstasy is not about that. It's a positive drug.
And you had said also something about it not being sexual or something like that. Explain that to me.
It's more of a sensual.
Seems like everybody looks
It's more
good.
sensual because the times that I've been on E, I've felt more like just hugging somebody or just like snuggling than actually like going all out. And,
the actual act, you get a wimp willy.
Yeah.
True, I've never had sex on Ecstasy, but I even planned, like, we're gonna do X now and we'll have sex. And then you don't want to, you know? Then you just want to hug and you just want to talk and sit around and you're just feeling so good. It feels just as good to sit down as it does, you know? It feels better than having sex, so.
But I have heard that a lot of people, like, they'll take it and they'll like make out with people that they might not make out with.
Because it's a very sensual drug, you know? It feels good to touch other people and even, you know, just to move, you know, a lot of people you see on X, maybe they'll be like rubbing their hands together. Everything feels really soft. Even things that are rough feel really soft.
And there's nothing wrong with discovering each other while you're on it. What's wrong with touching another person?
Okay. So you do this, and how long does this whole euphoria thing last?
Depends how many hits you take.
And
how good it is.
Usually
yeah,
like
depends on how good it is.
A good hit will last you like 3 to 4 hours, and the normal taker will probably pop another one. So you're looking at 6.5 to 7 hours tripping.
Plus, it's also, like, it's gotten worse since it first came out. When it was pure, when it was really good stuff. I remember one time, back in maybe '89, I was at like this first party back in Staten Island that Frankie Bones threw, and I dropped, and it was like I was up for 12 hours, and it was really good. But like now, the stuff that kids are buying now, they're paying $25 for something that isn't pure. Most of the time, it's cut with like methadone or speed or something, and they're wasting their money.
How do you know when you get it if it's cut with something else?
You can know. If you really know what Ecstasy is like, first of all, if you should taste it. It should taste very disgusting, very kind of metallic. If it tastes like a gross, most vile thing you can imagine, and it gives you this metal feel, you've got fierce ecstasy.
You also have to know who you're buying from.
If it tastes like nothing or very mild taste, don't buy it. You're buying trash.
But at that point, you've already taken it. What about the danger?
No, you don't take it. No. You taste it before you even buy it. If you got a dealer who wants to sell you it, you say, let me taste it first. If they don't let you taste it, tell them to go shove the trash down the toilet and go elsewhere. And you should also know what's good around. If you want to go and take good ecstasy right now, take the brown tabs. They're the safest bet.
Wow. Okay. Now, first of all, they're going to kill me if I make this show like a promo for, you know, Ecstasy, which it's sort of sounding like. But talk to me a little bit about the next day. You've been feeling so great that, you know, all night long. How do you feel the next day?
The next day you feel wonderful and totally enlightened.
Yeah, right.
So for me,
there's nothing bad? You don't come down from it?
Days afterwards, I've left NASA at 9 in the morning to go hang out in Washington Square Park till like 1, and then just gone and hung out the rest of the day totally like down off the trip, feeling like there is hope for this world. I just witnessed a bunch of people together, not fighting, not screaming about going and hurting each other, and I feel great.
It really depends what you do with the drug, because I have gotten melancholy, not depressed, but just feeling sad, because it's an emotional drug that can make you sad. But that's from being in a rave and then going home.
To reality.
You know, and then reality. What you have to do is you have to think positive. You have to make the drug work for you. The same way that you have to make raves work for you.
It's like...
But does it affect you like in school or in your jobs or whatever? Like, I'm sure, I mean, if you've been
Of course it can. Everything you do in life affects what you're going to do. And if you take something and it makes you see the world in a more bright and enlightened way, don't you think it would affect your workpase?
You're saying it affects it in a positive way?
Of course it affects it in a positive way.
It can. It really depends what you do with it. Because for me, before you really know how to use the drug, I would get very spaced out for like 3 days and not be able to concentrate. So you really have to know what you're doing. You have to take care of yourself too.
Yeah, you have to
make
eat
sure
really
that you
healthy.
eat well and that you sleep
Vitamins.
a lot. That you take
And also,
vitamins.
I mean, I've woken up the day after taking a lot of E, and I felt great. Whereas I don't drink anymore, but when I used to, I would drink, you know, go out drinking, and I'd feel like I'm going to drop dead the next day. So you tell me which one is healthy for you.
Yeah.
Okay, but possibly neither one is healthy, but we'll talk about that more.
One's legal, and it shouldn't be.
Okay, we'll talk about that too. And our next guest coming up is Down on Drugs. Nancy Reagan, are you watching? And when we come back, he'll tell us why he thinks that ecstasy is a dangerous way to have a good time. But first, Rave DJ DB is going to create a little rave ambiance for us right here in the studio. Don't go away.
When you want a hot meal without a big deal, what are you gonna pick? Hot Pockets!
Hot Pockets, filled with pepperoni pizza or ham and cheese in a crispy pocket.
What are you gonna pick? Hot Pockets!
Try Lean Pockets, too.
Dad, Mom and I thought that you'd be hungry, so we left you this sandwich.
Hellman's makes an ordinary sandwich taste so delicious.
This is gonna be really special.
Hellman's makes it so irresistible. Some people just can't wait to taste it.
Get a taste of what the best can do.
So we left you this banana.
Bring out the Hellman's.
Hellman's real mayonnaise.
And bring out the best.
Anytime, any place. Go fish. Anyone, any taste. Go fish.
At Long John's, get what you want any way you want it, anytime.
You can get your wish. Anytime. Go fish. Long John Silver's.
Some women have a new secret. The new Playtex Secrets Panty Slimmer. Of course it's pretty, but the real secret? A hidden panel that targets your tummy to control you where you need it most. The secret's out. New Playtex Secrets Panty Slimmer and matching bras. Shh, it really works.
At Lifetime, we make movies about women like your sister, your mother, or your best friend.
In just a few weeks, I'm gonna have a little baby boy. Did you ever love somebody so much that it scared you?
I loved you. I missed you, Alan.
Uncommon stories about women you don't usually see on TV.
They hurt you and then they blamed you for it. They should pay for that, not you.
Get involved with people you can care about. Watch the world premiere movies on Lifetime, where women make the difference.
Ecstasy obviously isn't FDA approved, so taking it involves a lot of risks. And those are risks that my next guest, Shane Solerno, says aren't worth it. Shane, okay, we've been hearing about this drug. It makes you love everybody. It makes you love the walls, the speakers, you know, whatever. What's wrong with it, in your opinion?
Well, I think that, first of all, to go on, you know, to use drugs is a personal choice, and that's entirely up to the individual. But to go on, you know, national television and advocate the use of a drug is entirely a different thing, because people's bodies react differently to drugs. You understand? And when you have something like that, it's pretty dangerous. And I did a film about 2 years ago called Sundown, the Future of Children and Drugs, and it featured 8 kids, very similar to these kids, my age group. And basically, what we saw in that film was kids who started very young and didn't start with coke and crack, started with drugs like ecstasy, and drugs like that are gateway drugs, and no one sets out to be a drug addict.
Explain what a gateway drug is. You're saying it leads to other drug use?
I'm saying that no one sets out to be a drug addict, and I'm saying that people start with marijuana and alcohol, then they get into ecstasy, and then they want to go into different experiences, and through those different experiences they get into more heavier drugs. Okay. And especially when you talk about some of these clubs, you have the mixing of drugs, and that's not the best thing, especially with alcohol and ecstasy.
Can you guys respond to that? Do you use other drugs,
well,
first
number
of all?
one, at most raves, at a lot of raves there is alcohol, but at most raves alcohol isn't even found.
And it shouldn't be.
And it shouldn't be. It doesn't
alcohol
belong.
is an evil drug. Talk about
Evil
evil drug,
drug.
that's alcohol.
All right, now, and number two, drugs are everywhere. If you're going to talk about going on national television and promoting drugs, then they shouldn't have people smoking on television. They shouldn't show people drinking on television.
I can tell you a lot about alcohol. It steals your energy, depletes the oxygen in your blood, causes cancer in the liver, pancreas, and stomach. And cigarettes steal not only
Cigarettes
your
are
oxygen,
I'm off
but my
cigarettes
oxygen.
10 years, drugs and
Ecstasy,
alcohol
acid,
6 years.
and pod give you
So I
energy.
know
They
from
do
where
not
I
steal your
speak.
energy.
Okay,
Why is
I
corporate
wanna
America
say,
giving you crack houses in the East Village?
Okay, I think we all agree that those things are not good. You guys are in agreement.
You cannot get ecstasy because it opens your mind. They don't want you to think. They don't want you to open your mind. They want you to take your drugs and take your alcohol and go and kill your energy. That's what they want.
Okay, Spike, we're going to give you your own talk show one day, but just hang on one second.
Chill, bro.
Okay, go ahead. What were you going to say?
What I want to say is I'm clean and sober, and all the benefits that I've heard listed today of ecstasy, I have experienced without the use of any chemicals. Now, like you said, Sean.
I agree.
Like Sean said, taking drugs is a personal choice, but I have to stand here and say, for people who are watching, I can't take anything because I will become addicted on anything, whether it's physically addictive or not. And so I want to stand here and say, think hard before you put any chemical in your body, including pesticides on fruit.
And we do.
That's another, getting off a little bit. Is it addictive, do you think?
I don't feel that it's addictive. I no longer do X. Since I used to live in LA, which is where I did X in the rave scene. Since I came to New York, I haven't done it for 2 reasons. One, because I didn't know dealers that I could be sure of what I was getting. And the other thing is that in LA, the scene was really dead, but when I came out to New York, there was so much energy that I didn't need the drug anymore. And I also learned, that's when I became a true raver, because that's when I learned that rave is what you make it. You don't need the drug. Once I opened the door, I think X opened the door in my mind. I knew that I could feel that way. And now I can dance. I can dance for 8 hours straight on nothing. I don't even drink coffee. I don't drink.
The first time.
But you think ecstasy is cool. I mean, I'm not promoting it. I'm not condemning it either. I'm not in favor of drug abuse. But the drug in itself has nothing to do with it.
What I'm saying is when you go on a talk show that's distributed nationally and you say things like, this thing makes you love more and it makes you do all these wonderful things, and you don't list the negatives of the drug, like the fact that it takes liquids from your spinal cord, it causes vomiting, a lot of the things that this drug does, and a lot of these, you know, he said it right at the top of the show that you don't know what you're getting. And that's the facts. And
I said, if you don't know what you're getting.
He did say that. He did say you don't know what you're getting at the beginning of the show. And the reality is you don't know. And you have a lot of people that treat drugs with different things, and drugs are cut differently. And drugs react differently
and
with
if they were legal,
bodies.
We wouldn't have to worry about that because it'd only be good
I mean, legalizing
stuff
drugs is a joke. I mean, there's all kinds of problems.
MDMA used to be legal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shane, have you ever tried drugs yourself?
Not at all.
Never.
You can't get hooked on
How can you say then?
Let me answer that question. Let me tell you how I can answer that real quick. I can answer that because I spent 2 years with kids that did, And I spent 2 years interviewing kids that started like these kids in total control of the situation, thinking it was cool, thinking it was moderate, thinking that through moderation. Let me just finish. Let's just not interrupt each other.
That made you sound real good.
Thinking through moderation that they could control the drug abuse, and all of it starts to steamroll. And I'm telling you, and if you take nothing else from what I'm going to say, take this: no one sets out to be a drug addict.
I can tell you, I started drugs at 12 years old. I started drugs at 12 years old when I left home. I am 26 years old. 3 years ago, I stopped all drugs. I only now do E on occasion and pot on occasion.
It is a drug.
E is a drug. To say that alcohol
I think a lot of people would say that that sounds like addiction if you've been doing it for so many years.
No, it's not.
Okay, hang on. What do you want to say here?
I'm not a mess.
Okay, Spike, hang on.
I want to say that he's never taken.
Go ahead.
He's never taken ecstasy, and then he's going to say the fact that you shouldn't do it. If you go to like a club like Limelight or so, like you see fights break out all the time because there's alcohol at the bars, and at a rave, you never see that. You'll see people hugging that don't even know each other instead of fighting.
And you don't even have to do the drug. I've never found pressure to do E at
I've gone to raves.
All right.
I have a question for this lady over here.
I heard you talking before. You thought she was being very flip. Was that you back here? That she was laughing about taking drugs and stuff like that?
No,
okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Were you scared when you first took this drug?
No, okay. When I first came into contact with ecstasy, not doing the drug, but being around people that did it, was when I was in high school. I was around 16, and I wouldn't touch the drug because I didn't know what it was, and it sounded really strange to me. But when I finally did it was when I was hanging out with people. My boyfriend did it, and I knew, you know, I could see what it was doing to people, and I found out. I read up on it. You know, not that there's a lot of research being done, because it's prohibited, and that's the problem. And I wasn't scared because I was with friends. I had been told what it would do to me, and I'd like to say that I'm not laughing at drug use, and I'm very against drug abuse. I'm very against many drugs. I will never in my life touch cocaine, heroin, and I don't think I'll ever be addicted to these things because I'm never going to try them.
But this is the same hypocritical attitude that a lot of parents have, that it's okay that my son smokes weed as long as he doesn't do coke, and they rationalize all of it.
Okay, we're going to have to take another break. Keep talking, you guys. Next up, a doctor who goes to raves for medical reasons. Don't go away.
The stars of Lifetime television have deep, dark secrets. Secrets that could be worth $20,000 to you. If you can match these stars with their secrets in Lifetime's Deep, Dark Secrets contest, you could win $20,000, or you could win 1 month of free long-distance service from MCI. Want a clue? Who gave haircuts at age 4 to a dog, a cat, and the kid next door? Whose pants fell down during a Christmas play? Who was embarrassed when mom's hippie friends drove her to school? Who's too shy to reveal a single deep, dark secret? Want to win? Call this MCI 800 number for exclusive clues and receive a special offer. Join MCI and get up to 2 months of cable TV free. To enter, pick up the June issue of Redbook magazine. But hurry, these secrets won't stay secret long, especially when Lifetime and MCI are giving away $20,000 and hundreds of other prizes.
Accentuate the positive.
New Accentuous Mascara from L'Oreal. It precisely defines each lash for a very new, eye-opening look.
Don't tolerate the negative.
New L'Oreal technology gives you definition with absolutely no clumping.
Extend the possibilities.
A new sculpting brush lengthens, defines, accentuates each lash. New Accentuous Mascara from L'Oreal.
More definition by the lash.
More beautiful by design.
Senior year. For tough headaches, I took Tylenol. But sometimes it didn't get rid of all the pain. Today, I take Advil. For my tough headaches, 2 Advil work better than 2 Tylenol gel caps. I've learned what works better for me. Advil. Advanced medicine for pain.
The doctor said we can get rid of warts ourselves.
How?
Get to the bottom of them with Compound W.
Doctor-recommended Compound W has strong medicine to penetrate warts, layer by layer.
No more warts.
Compound W gets to the bottom of warts.
A doctor in a lab coat watching a bunch of drugged kids sway to a non-stop pulsing beat. What's wrong with this picture? Well, nothing. If you're Julie Holland, a doctor who does lots of extracurricular medical research at New York City Raves. So, Julie, tell us how you got interested in ecstasy and raves and that whole scene.
Well, I was interested in ecstasy in 1985. There was a lot of media coverage of the drug, and it was scheduled in Schedule 1 in July of '85. And I
Tell us what that means, that it's Schedule 1.
Well, ecstasy was never exactly legal, but it wasn't illegal. It was being used by psychiatrists with their patients in the 70s and 80s. And in '85, it started getting, I guess it just got out into the club scene, especially in Texas. And when the government got wind of it, they had an emergency scheduling session. And July 1st, 1985, it was put into Schedule 1, which is where LSD and heroin are.
Which means that if you're caught with it, it's a much more serious thing or something.
In '85, it was a $125,000 fine and I think 15 years in prison. I don't know if the penalties have changed. Schedule 1 means no medical use and high potential abuse, high potential for abuse, both of which I strongly disagree with, definitely.
You strongly disagree. Do you think that it should be legal?
You know, it would. No, I don't know. It would be nice, maybe. Schedule 2, Schedule 3 would be nice just for me. I'd like to see more research being done, and it's very, very difficult to do research with Schedule 1 drug.
What kind of research are we talking about? What do you think its therapeutic
You name it.
possibilities
I think a lot of research needs to be done. I think this drug has a lot of possibilities, and if not this drug, then drugs of this kind.
What kinds of possibilities? What kinds?
Pain control, hypnosis, creative visualization, couples therapy, single therapy, cognitive restructuring, acute psychosis, acute depression. We don't know. We haven't tried. I'd like to see.
Okay, so just like in English, you mean that it could help couples get along better by both of them taking it and going through therapy while they're on it, and stuff like that?
By both of them being on it and having their defenses being down and calmly working through some differences, I think it can make a difference.
If I could say something about that, I think that's really accurate, because I don't do the drug anymore, but it opened the door in my mind to let me know that I could feel that way, and I can tap into it later. If I'm depressed, I can get to the point where I can feel, not exactly like when you're Xing, but you know, that good feeling about yourself, the comfort in your body. And I know a lot of people that feel that way, that just tap into the feeling again. You know, I think it could work very well with people who are depressed, just to teach them how to feel well about this.
I actually use it for creative visualization, so it's funny that she says that, and it's very effective. I use it a lot.
Okay.
Jane, one of the only problem I have with that is that to compare a clinically controlled environment to what kids buy on the street is night and day. I mean, you know, her experiment, I'm sure, is a very solid experiment, and they have probably board-certified doctors cutting the drugs, and it's really a different thing between.
That's what should be legalized, so that we can get that stuff too.
See, he is right. He is right. If you don't know, what you're doing, if you don't know what you're doing, and you come into this scene, it could be bad, because you're using a mind tool, and most people don't view drugs like that. And drugs can really help you if you view them as a tool. Like when I take E, if I'm at a rave, I take it to the purpose of getting in contact with myself so I can dance and do that. But I know what I'm doing. You have to know what you're doing. If you're in rural America, here we're in New York, it's easy to get a hold of good E.
But let's be honest, I mean, the drug dealers aren't going to, you know, when they sell you the drug dealers don't sit there and tell you how to use them. They're not interested in that.
Some dealers do.
How do you think I know how to use it?
Let me ask you also, Julie.
I'm not administering ecstasy to human subjects. That has been approved by the FDA in November '92. Human studies were approved, and they're going to go on at UC Irvine in pancreatic cancer patients. I'm not giving out
okay, so we're talking about some of the
surveys of ravers at this
those are some of the potential therapeutic values it can have. But what about, I've heard that that 6 or 7 kids in England died while they were on it.
They died.
I know there's some dispute about why, but tell us your take on that.
I mean, I can address that. I think the bottom line is this is very likely heat stroke, what happened, and that these people, they're dehydrated, they're wearing hats, they're dancing for 8 hours in a closed environment, and they have hyperthermia and they die. Now, whether the ecstasy well, obviously, if you didn't take ecstasy, you weren't at a rave, you probably wouldn't get dehydrated and die. So
and you probably couldn't dance for 8 hours or something.
And maybe you'd be more likely to stop and take it.
I dance 8 hours straight, non-stop.
One of the first times that I went to a rave without taking E, it was because I had no money, and it was a really underground event. And when I got there, I had no money. I had to walk from the map point to the rave, and I got in there, and it was 1,500 people just dancing for like 9, 10 hours. I was perfectly straight on no drugs whatsoever, and I danced for 10 hours straight.
But
And it made me feel, and just the unity of being there with that many people doing a positive thing brought back the feelings that I had from the first time that I took it. It made me feel really good
So
about
then why do you
myself.
ever need to take it again? If you can just revive those feelings, can you just take it
Sometimes
once?
you'd like to, but what we need to do, and what the rave scene is doing now, being a very self-referential scene, is that it's trying to educate. It's trying to say, if you're coming for the drugs, you're coming for the wrong reason.
Right.
But if
Things
you're
like
doing
NASA,
the drugs,
you can see it on the flyers even.
and if you're doing the drugs, it's important to tell your friends, take a break every 45
Drink
minutes
lots
for at
of
least
water.
10 minutes, lots of water.
Drink lots of
You know,
water.
and
Take
yes, there
reps.
may have been 6 deaths at the rave scene in England, but how many deaths are there every day from alcohol abuse?
Okay, what do you want to ask?
I can't believe my man here. He said he takes drugs to get in contact with himself. You're not in contact with yourself right now?
Yeah, I am.
I think you're a drip.
I'm very in contact with myself.
You need to get a grip on reality,
No,
and I
I'm
don't
very
think
in
drugs is
contact
it.
with myself. You're totally right. However, the minute you're born into this world, you're thrown barriers at you and boundaries. You can't do this, you can't do that, you're this, you're that. Well, who the hell told you that?
You don't have to do ecstasy.
It's all about taking the layers. Wait a minute, yeah, but it's all about...
Okay, you're not
No,
Mike.
not at
You're
all.
not Mike, but
Not
his
at all.
point is...
Not at all.
Okay, can you overcome that on your
add
own
to your
without
life.
drugs?
You
Go
can't
ahead.
take from it. By denying yourself something in your life that could open your eyes to something you might never have thought of, you are denying yourself life, honey.
All right,
I
what
opened
was your
myself to life.
comment here?
Right.
Be free.
Go ahead.
Do you actually think that this ecstasy is good for your body? And also, for the girl, I don't know how old you are, and I don't know how long you've been doing
22.
drugs. How old are you?
22.
Do you plan on having children? And if so, do you think they're going to come out normal?
Okay, this is the thing. I have been very responsible. I do plan on having children, maybe. I don't know if I really want to bring him into this world.
Excuse me, any girl
that
who
might be
takes
a question
diet
for our doctor
takes
here.
the same risk with E because
Okay, we'll come
ecstasy
to it when we
originally
get
was
back.
a diet pill.
I sleep
Is
9
rave
hours a night.
culture
I
the
eat very
next big
healthily. I
thing
don't
in
do drugs
philanthropy?
anymore.
You decide. Don't go away. They'll keep talking.
People think I never put on weight. Wrong. I couldn't even fit into these jeans 3 weeks ago. But dig this, I lost 8 pounds, drinking totally fabulous ready-to-drink shakes on the Ultra Slim Fast plan. Luscious strawberry, creamy coffee, decadent chocolate, French vanilla. The plan is easy. 1 for breakfast, 1 for lunch, a sensible dinner, and even a candy bar as a snack. If I can do it, trust me, you can do it.
Ultra Slim Fast. Give us a week. We'll take off the weight.
Hi, may I take your order? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Just a reminder, the fries you go out for are now in. Fast fries from Ore-Ida.
Hello?
Nasty, rotten mildew stains? Compare 3 sprays of Tilex to just 1 of X14. In minutes, the X14 side is cleaner. X14 is better.
Look for this money-saving coupon on X14 in Sunday's newspaper.
We all have our own mysteries, our own inner secrets.
This is me, Jack. The way I really am.
They exist in the furthest reaches of the mind. Not easy to reach, and not without danger.
Those dreams I've been having, they're not like ordinary dreams.
There we must confront our deepest fears, or risk being overcome by them.
Now there's no turning back.
Lifetime takes you to the hidden room, where your secrets are not safe. New episodes premiering June 12th at 10.
I got tired of every radio station sounding the same. So, the other day, I was dialing around for something different. And I found a station I really liked. It was the country station, 103.5. What a surprise. It wasn't at all what I expected. Today's country is great music. It really has changed. And I guess I have, too.
Try today's new country music on the New Country 103.5.
You haven't seen Bermuda until you've seen it Marriott's Castle Harbor's way. We're a little bit more Bermuda than anyone else. Marriott's Castle Harbor, a Bermuda resort.
For information and reservations, see your Liberty travel agent or call this number.
Some people say that rave culture is a completely indulgent, self-gratifying waste of time, but others, like my next guest, rave promoter Scotto, say no, raves are socially useful, empowering political acts, sort of. Scotto, are raves misunderstood, do you think?
Well, a lot of the focus tends to be on drugs in the media right now, and the media needs to sensationalize the story. So they either sensationalize it with somebody getting killed, or, you know, overcrowding, or drugs, or something, you know. And the rave scene is, to me, a feeling of self-worth, and it's about the music. You know, the music is the drug. And my job as a lighting designer and a production coordinator is to make you trip without drugs. So.
Okay, but there must be a lot of kids that come to the raves that you put on that are doing X. Am I right?
Some people choose to do whatever, you know, they choose to do, and we provide free water and security, friendly security that allows you to, you know, talk if you're having problems. We have, you know, psychiatrists on board and stuff, so that if there's a problem, you know, it can be resolved.
So okay, so you kind of acknowledge the fact that a lot of people are doing that, but you just try to make it sort of a safer environment.
But there are drugs everywhere. Well, it's a promoter's responsibility anywhere in the country.
Right.
If you're a rave promoter, you have a responsibility of public safety, #1, first and foremost. You can't throw something in an illegal venue and overcrowd it.
But from what I understand, though, I mean, raves and ecstasy, you know, by and large, go hand in hand. And the reality is,
okay, a lot of people here saying no.
Rave. You don't know my schedule.
I know about.
Come on.
There have been raves.
I've shot films in raves, so you definitely don't know
shot
what you're
films
talking
in raves,
about.
and you caught the downside of it. You've caught the downside of it. But there have been raves.
There's no.
There was a rave in Milwaukee where the police, because of the media sensationalism of raves and about making them drug dens and all of this, that the police arrested 950 ravers. They went through that entire warehouse because of one beer. They gave out $300,000 worth of fines, all of which were dropped. And they made the rave crew publicly go on television and say that they were never going to throw a rave again. Yet, there was no beer found and there were no drugs found.
Yeah, but the police are talking about night and day. What we're trying to do here is justify the fact that because so many people a year die from alcohol, that ecstasy is okay. And that ecstasy is okay. It's not okay. And the fact is that people do die on this drug, whether they want to admit it or not. And when they talk about, you know, heat exhaustion and things like that, they go hand in hand with dancing. So you're promoting it, whether you want to admit it or not.
I'm promoting the music and the subculture.
I think it's really important to point out that if you're going out 4 times a week, you can't trip more than maybe once a week. And so every time you go out, at least half of the people are not tripping, or you know, or more. It depends on the time.
No pressure to
you know, people will save it up for a special event. And most of the time I go.
But see, at best, this is a temporary relief. At best, this is a temporary relief, Jane. That's very important to mention.
One thing about ecstasy is the less you do, the more you enjoy it.
All right. But Scotto, what do you do to help keep ecstasy out of the clubs when you're promoting? I mean, what do you do? Do you do anything to try to keep people from using drugs?
Of course. We search people, not only for drugs, but for weapons. If anyone's caught in the club dealing, they're thrown out, and we take a photo of them, and it's
I've been going to NASA since almost the beginning. I've only missed 3. And before I was a promoter, I used to get searched so hard. I got searched harder at NASA than I did when I used to go to hip-hop clubs. And there's more violence in hip-hop. So, I mean, what's going on?
So you think this is a safer environment, actually?
Raves are totally safe. No, I'm not putting down. No, my man right there with the shades just got upset because I said there's more violence in hip-hop. I live uptown on 125. I've been around hip-hop all my life. I'm not saying that hip-hop brings violence. Old hip-hop, like Africa Bambaataa and old school hip-hop, was about unity. It's the people that bring the violence.
And we're trying, my job,
you think raves are more like
NASA. My job
peace and love or whatever.
Promoter.
All right, okay, let's listen to Scotto for a second here, everybody.
Hold on, guys. My job as a promoter is, this is a scene that is very reminiscent to the 60s, but we have,
yes, it is.
To some degree it does.
People saying no, it's not.
Well, that's fine. That's, you know, her theory.
I hope the part of it that not, is that I hope we still...
She says it's a big Woodstock all over again. All right, go ahead.
My point is,
Go ahead, Scott.
my job as a promoter is to promote this new form of electronic dance music. It's been going on since the 70s. It's evolved from disco through punk rock, through house, through hip-hop. It's all these elements are combined, and we have the opportunity to learn from the mistakes that were made in the 60s.
But if they can do it without the drugs, why not do it without them?
Yeah, I know.
We're trying to. Rave promotes that.
Okay.
I'm not trying to.
Okay, a lot of people agree with you. Hold on, everybody's talking at one time.
Unless you trip, so you still have to trip.
There's a bad focus here, and that focus is you're saying ecstasy is for rave. Now, I know ecstasy better probably than most people in this room, and I can tell you it's not about raving. The best trips I've had on E was with 6 or 7 friends in my apartment.
But is ecstasy at
Getting
rave?
to know each other.
Ecstasy is
okay.
Ecstasy is at rave.
Ecstasy is at rave.
Educating yourself about the drug.
Let's try to do a little more one at a time here. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I have a question. I think it's for the doctor. I guess she can answer it the best. What exactly is ecstasy made of? What does it consist of?
It's called methylene dioxymethamphetamine. It's MDMA. It's a structure that's similar to amphetamine or methamphetamine, which is speed, and it's also similar to mescaline, better known as acid. It's kind of in the middle of those two drugs. Well, if you want to talk about whether it's good for your body or not, it's going to be a long discussion. I don't know how much time you have. I mean,
do you talk to us, though, about some of the potential negative side effects? Shane mentioned before the spinal fluid, something like that. What do they know about that?
Vomiting, exhaustion.
There's a metabolite of serotonin, which is a chemical in your brain, and the metabolite is in smaller amounts in spinal fluid of people that take a lot of ecstasy. What that means, we don't know. It doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong at all. It does not drain your spinal fluid. It does not cause Parkinson's.
It
and to the best of our knowledge, it does not cause mutated babies.
Wait a minute. Jane, let me ask one thing. Jane, how can they say that they haven't done the proper experimentation wait, let me just ask one thing. That they haven't had the proper experimentation to determine these things, yet they definitely know for a fact that it doesn't cause Parkinson's, that it doesn't lose spinal fluid. I mean, that's the biggest hypocritical thing I've ever heard in my life.
Can I just address the Parkinson's things, because I hear it all the time, and I'd love to just go national with this, okay? The reason why it's confused with Parkinson's is because there's this drug called MPTP, and people get confused MDMA, MPTP. MPTP is the drug that caused the Parkinsonism in 11 people in 1985. No MDMA has ever caused Parkinsonism, to the best of my knowledge.
We're going to take another break. We will be right back.
Some women have a new secret. The new Playtex Secrets Panty Slimmer. Of course it's pretty, but the real secret? A hidden panel that targets your tummy to control you where you need it most. The secret's out. New Playtex Secrets Panty Slimmer and matching bras. It really works.
Overwhelming evidence indicates that the cure for the disease of illiteracy is the restoration of intensive systematic phonics in every classroom in America.
Learn to read with Hooked on Phonics, the musical reading program. Then, read to learn with SRA reading comprehension used by over 60 million people.
Hooked on Phonics worked for me.
Call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
There is one gentle antibacterial soap doctors recommend more than any other. Aren't you glad you used Tile?
Spray and Wash has removed more food, grease, and grass than any other stain remover ever made. And that has made it the #1 choice for getting out what America gets into.
No matter which kind of bandage you use, if you want those cuts to heal faster, use Neosporin every time you bandage. Testing shows Neosporin helps cuts heal faster, 4 days faster than a bandage alone, and it helps prevent infection. So whenever you use a bandage, use Neosporin. Together, they make it better, faster. And for fast healing plus pain relief, try Maximum Strength Neosporin Plus.
While we've been talking about Ecstasy, DB has been providing the soundtrack for us, and which you all appreciate, clearly. So, DB, tell us from your perspective, how important is Ecstasy to the whole rave scene?
Good question for me to answer. I've been drug-free for about 6 years, and I started DJing after I gave up taking drugs. So, for me, the music is the high, you know. And
Also, you came over here from England, right?
Yeah, I've been here 4 years now. The rave scene in England's been going about 5 years strong, all over Europe, in fact.
Since '88.
Yeah. I feel a little disappointed with this whole show, to be honest. I feel like I've been sort of brought down here under false pretenses. I thought we were here to talk about rave culture, and the whole thing has been about ecstasy. You know?
I thought we were here to talk about Ecstasy, so maybe we'll drag my producer out here and we'll all talk about it. Come on out. But no. But anyway, but let's talk about that, because you don't think that they need to be linked, the two. Okay, and a lot of people in the audience are going, no, they don't think so. Yeah, you had a comment about this before, too. Go ahead.
I think the scene represents so much more than drugs, and if you want to talk about ecstasy, I mean, that's fine. But before you even mention the word rave, you have to define it, and you define it as thousands of people, black, white, short, tall, fat, thin, dressing funny, dressing stupid, 1970s, whatever it is. And they're dancing, and they're just forgetting about everything, and just being themselves and walking around saying, hey, how you doing? Not having to be all hard and be like,
it's totally,
you know, and I mean, when I go to NASA, I don't do drugs. I don't want to put a name on anything. When I go out, I'll travel to Boston, to D.C. to be with friends, and DB is a perfect representation of what music is, and that his point is perfect in that we thought we were here talking about raving, and if you want to talk about drugs, talk about the ones that are out now, the ones that are killing people.
No one is arguing with what you're saying, but the show started out with all the positive aspects of ecstasy. I mean, that's where the trouble started. So don't blame the show. Blame the fact that the show opened with you guys listing all the positive benefits of ecstasy and all these wonderful things that it did, and had you at the top of the show, made your point. Instead of at the end of the show, maybe we had a different show.
Obviously,
you linked it to ecstasy.
There's some confusion, but rave, I mean, a lot of people at raves are doing ecstasy, so I think that's why these two things keep getting all mixed up.
To see who was doing what, and who was doing ecstasy and who wasn't. And there are a good number of people, I don't have the exact number, I wish I did, who are drug-free or straight, sober, who are just there for the music.
We definitely, and I don't mean to imply, nobody means to imply that everybody at raves is doing ecstasy.
No, we're not saying that. That is what the media has been implying. That is what the media in America has definitely been implying, that these kids go to raves to get drugged. That's not what is happening.
Okay.
I go to raves. I've been raving for 4 years straight. I've been listening to the music for maybe 7. And, I mean, the reason why I got into it was because in house, in hip-hop, and all these other scenes that I got into, I found that there wasn't a place for me because there was too much violence, or there was a little something wrong. I got into raving and I got into techno, and I didn't find any of that. I was welcomed with total. I wasn't high. When I first started listening to techno, I was 12 years old, and I didn't know what ecstasy was. I started doing drugs when I was 14 because of the club scene, not the rave scene, the club scene.
No one is, let me just say one thing.
They're two totally separate.
Let me just say one thing.
All right, go ahead, yeah.
No one is knocking, especially me, the rave scene. I've not said anything negative about the rave scene. What I'm saying is that at these raves, there are drugs. There is ecstasy. And what he said...
Don't go to high school then. Don't go to high school.
Let me just finish my statement. And when you say that you're trying to deter people from using drugs and all this, but then you say people are going to do what they're going to do, it's very hypocritical, and that's the problem.
I'm sorry, but rave is really...
That doesn't matter. You don't justify that.
Okay.
Okay, so because drugs are at college, it's cool, right? Because there's a big alcohol problem, it's cool, right?
We're not saying it's cool.
Just the hell with it. Well, let's just blow up the damn country then if we're all blown to hell.
We shouldn't start over again. What did you want to say? Okay, okay, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, you know, I'm a little let down about, you know, the focus of this show, too. Because
you're going to say that? I've heard that comment already 3 times. I'm sorry. I'll come back, but go ahead. I wanted to get in some other points, too. Go ahead.
You said that hip-hop was connected to violence.
No. I didn't say that. I didn't say that hip-hop was connected to violence.
Now we're
hip-hop, this is totally off the focus, but I just want to say, hip-hop, Africa Bambaataa, the Zulu Nation. I know about the culture of hip-hop. I was into it. Tribe Called Quest. It was all about unity and being together and having a good party.
Hip-hop with violence.
And so is Rave.
So why?
That's another show, too, I'm afraid.
I'm saying, but He pointed at me.
I didn't mean to point to you. I didn't mean to point to you.
Okay.
I was just saying in general.
All right, all right.
I didn't mean
also
anything
want to,
specific.
Julie, back to you for a second. You seem like you're our only medical person up here, and it does seem like you're sort of pro ecstasy. Do you think that most people in the medical community on your side with this, with wanting to make it a little bit, you know, not a Schedule I drug and all that stuff? What do you think?
I'd have to say no. I don't think that most people have my viewpoint. But there are some that do. I go to raves with doctors and we have a good time. So, there's a certain subset of psychiatrists who really want to see research done with MDMA, especially because so many people in the country are taking it. We should really know more. We should have more answers for people with questions.
Do you take it yourself when you go to these raves, Julie?
I have taken it when it was legal, yes.
Okay, we're gonna have to take another break. And will Rave wilt like so much flower power, or is it here to stay? We'll discuss this and other pertinent matters when we return. We'll be right back.
Ah, the life of a spy. You get to travel, make big bucks, chase bad guys.
Buenos dias, dancer.
And fall for the sexiest guy this side of Cuba.
Your husband doesn't know, does he?
Anne's a spy?
Hey, this could be fun. Kate Capshaw, codename Dancer.
Tonight at 9 p.m., 8 Central, here on Lifetime.
Hi, may I take your order? Hello? How can I help you? Hello?
History has just been made. Not here, but in the kitchen. New fast fries from Orida. People say they're so crispy, so delicious, it's hard to believe they came from the oven, and not from a fast food place. Fast fries. They're that good.
Hello?
Reach for a star and say cheers. Share the backstage joy and tears of America's favorite barroom bunch. The scandals, babies, and weddings you never saw on TV. Reach for a star to read what Marilyn Monroe thought about sex with Jack and Bobby Kennedy. At last, a startling truth from her private papers. And new tapes reveal how Princess Diana's boyfriend taught her to make love on the phone. Plus, Robert Reed's daughter speaks out for the first time since his tragic death about the Brady Bunch dad you never knew. Reach for a star.
Imagine a nice, juicy, lean pork roast. Not like that. Cut up into cubes, skewered on a kebab with onions, tomatoes, no wait, tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, smothering those tender, juicy cubes. The most delicious things happen when you cut into pork. The other white meat, simmering with potatoes.
At Lifetime, we think young.
Are we scared? Yes.
Act smart.
Do you have sex without condoms?
And question everything.
Should marijuana be legalized or not?
Meet Jane Pratt.
If I ever met Mick Jagger, I think I would freak.
She's got a new talk show on Lifetime.
Tell the truth.
And it's all about the stuff that really matters in your life.
Out of all the students that you talk to, what percentage of them actually cheat?
Watch Jane Pratt. You can definitely relate. Weekdays at 5, only on Lifetime.
Okay, we've been talking about ecstasy, and I wanted to ask you, Julie, if you think that people seem to have, and we're hearing some of it in the audience today, just a knee-jerk reaction against any drug at all. Do you find that?
Yeah, I find it a lot. I especially find it, in the medical field, too, that people are just very blanket statements about drug, and in the 60s it was LSD, and now it's ecstasy, and it's always going to be something, but I think that LSD research was important, and it probably still needs to be done. I think that research on ecstasy also needs to be done. If people are taking it in America, then we need to know what it's doing.
All right.
Good and bad.
Okay, I got a question for Spike. You say he's been doing drugs since he's been 12. You said you're not messed up. What do you do for a living right now?
I'm an artist. I work on a series of paintings. I'm a singer as well. And I do decor in clubs, and I basically just do whatever I want, and I get by quite well doing it.
And you were saying that you don't do ecstasy anymore, or you do? You still do?
I do ecstasy, but hardly as much as I used to. I like, actually, for going out and dancing at NASA and places like it and other raves, I tend to stop using ecstasy because I like to dance for at least 10 hours and I lose energy if I take too much ecstasy. So I tend now when I go to just go like natural, whatever.
And one of the things also, Spike,
I like using herbs like...
Okay. I don't even know about that, but we'll learn about that on another show. But also, I know that it became big in gay clubs before, I think, it moved
Originally,
into
yeah. I mean, that's everything
why do you
comes
think
from the
that
gay
is, though?
scene, and I was
giggling, because I said the word gay? I don't, okay, go ahead.
I'm gay, and I hung out in the gay clubs for a long time until I found them to be just totally violating people of their identities and turning everybody into meat racks. So I dumped the gay scene, and I love the fact that I like people of my own sex, but I don't put labels on me, and I don't condemn myself to some situation that we say we're not, but they go and act just like they say they are. So it's a dinosaur generation mentality versus the rave. Be yourself, love yourself. I love myself. I won't go out and just sleep with anybody. And that's the gay scene.
Okay. What is yours?
Yeah. I'd like to know how you can sit here and praise ecstasy and then condemn drugs, alcohol, any other drugs, but in the long run, drugs have the same effect on everybody. How are you going to be 10 years from now? I mean, if you want to have kids, what are you going to say to your kids? What happens? They say right now they have no proof that there are not mutated children. Yeah, I don't know.
Nye, I cut you off before when you were going to answer that, so go ahead about your kids.
Well, I'd like to say, that, maybe you look at us and you say, you guys do drugs. Well, I don't do anymore, but I'm getting a master's degree, provided none of my professors are watching right now. and in a couple weeks, and I'm going to go for my PhD. I have a life, and we're going to go far. And drugs isn't enough.
And you're not worried about the potential effects on your kids? Is that
I'm a very healthy person. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I eat very well. I sleep 9 hours a night. I think I'm going to have very healthy kids, and I'm not going to do drugs when I'm pregnant.
I don't do drugs anymore. I've totally stopped. I've totally stopped doing drugs. Because I totally stopped doing drugs for the simple fact that I went to a rave. Yes, I said the word rave, where everybody's saying that drugs are always around. I went to a rave. Most of the people there were straight. In fact, almost all the people there were straight, and I had a better time. I realized by opening my mind, something that I don't think would have happened if I wouldn't have taken the drug in the first place. I knew what the feeling was, and I had the same feeling just by sitting there and listening to the music.
But then it seems like you would never need to take ecstasy again if you can just revive that feeling naturally.
I was just at a rave in Germany with 20,000 people. It was sponsored by a cigarette company, which I don't particularly care for. And they were giving away free cigarettes.
But Jane, let me say something.
But the point is that there were lasers and lights and all this massive amounts of sound everywhere. I don't understand how you could do drugs.
It's redundant.
I wouldn't come back.
You'd explode.
I'd be lost forever.
Totally.
This was like the most incredible laser show I've ever seen.
Shane, what did you want to say?
I just think that if you bring everybody back that's on this show in 10 years, that they will have radically different views than they have now. And I really believe that.
How do you mean? You think they're going to get more conservative? You think they'll be
I think
anti-drug?
that this is a thing that is in the time right now, and it is the product. Let me just finish. I didn't talk when you talked.
I've been interested in this for almost 10 years. My views have not changed.
Okay, well, let me just say that
85 to 93.
This is the product of a generation that has absolutely, kids my age, nothing to do. That's how these rave clubs were born. Nothing to do.
There is the generational gap of those who feel helpless and those who know they're not.
Okay. All right. What do you think about this whole thing?
I've been involved in different scenes in New York since I was 14. I went into a hardcore scene at CBGB's for 4 or 5 years. This is the most positive and most warmest scene I've ever been involved in.
Okay. With or without ecstasy, you're saying?
Without.
With or without, okay.
For that guy Shane right there who says we have nothing better to do, excuse me.
No, I didn't say you had nothing better to do. I said kids my age are very limited in the things that they have for them.
I've been raving for 3 or 4 years, started in LA, came to New York, and I love it, okay? It is the warmest scene I've ever been in. It's more of a unity than clubs. I'd rather people do ecstasy than alcohol anytime. Because the guys aren't all over you, making you feel uncomfortable, hitting on you. People aren't fighting. There's no violence. It's just about love and unity.
You are justifying the use of a drug. You're saying that because alcohol does this, that ecstasy is better. It's ridiculous. Drugs are drugs.
We're going to take another break. We'll be right back. Stick around. Behind the scenes at Sorority Rush, those amazing diggable planets, and a complete guide to summer beauty. Get the June issue of Sassy on your newsstand now.
Remember splashing around with friends? Now your kids can splash and slide on the Goofy water slide. Just turn on the cool summer fun. It's even goofy inside. The Goofy water slide designed by Mattel, making friends you can believe in.
Is Demi Moore to blame for her mom's suicide attempt on Mother's Day weekend?
I
want to know.
What's the secret behind Jane Seymour's fourth wedding? The untold story is in The Inquirer. Why has Michael Jackson become obsessed with this woman and her 2 children? How did superstar Garth Brooks lose an amazing 44 pounds?
It's all in this week's Inquirer.
How can you get what you want without nagging? Find out in this week's Inquirer, filled with fascinating features for people with inquiring minds.
Like me.
Snack it up, go on, pack it up. Oh yeah, stack it up, go on, stack it up. Chinette super strong, you bet. No, nothing stacks up to Chinette. No, nothing stacks up to Chinette.
It takes 5 of these paper plates to stack up to the molded strength of 1 Chinette paper plate.
Chinette super strong, you bet. No, nothing stacks up to Chinette.
When I get a yeast infection, it's internal, so I buy one of these. But for a burning external itch, I use Vagisil cream to stop it instantly.
Developed with a gynecologist, Vagisil works directly on the burning itch. These don't.
And if Vagisil can stop my itch, Vagisil can stop any minor feminine itching instantly. For feminine moisture problems, I trust Vagisil powder. Vagisil absorbs moisture, absorbs odor, helps keep you dry, odor-free. Vagisil feminine powder.
The dark holds the unexpected. Dove Dark. Chocolate so incredibly rich, so surprisingly silky smooth. Why have the expected when you can have Dove Dark?
And now, Lifetime presents more of your Snoop stories.
He was the captain of the football team. He had everything. Looks, money, a great car, and yes, all the girls were crazy about him. I knew I never had a chance. I wasn't considered one of the in crowd. So when he asked me out, I thought my heart would burst. When it came time for our date to end, I prayed he would kiss me. When he pulled me to him, his wide open mouth crushed against mine, smothering me in slobber. I nearly threw up.
Smooch stories are brought to you by Lifetime, where women makes a difference.
Okay, apparently there's still a lot of conflict over this in the studio today. So, Julie, can you give us a final wrap-up here?
Oh, that'll be very easy. Number one, because this drug is illegal still, the government doesn't regulate the quality, and you really don't know what you're getting when you buy it, unfortunately. And number two, we all still have a lot of questions, and obviously there needs to be research done. Anything you can do to promote that would be a plus.
Great. Shane, what do you think?
I just would say that the national average age of first drug use is now 13 years old, and that this problem is not getting any better, it's getting worse, and we need to be very careful what messages we send to young kids.
Okay, so what it sounds like you're saying is it's probably a good idea to wait for a final verdict on Ecstasy before you all go out and take a hit. That's all for now. Thanks to all my guests. Bye.
DJ on 2 turntables.
Tonight at 9, she's a housewife by day and a spy by night. She could be your neighbor. She could be you. Don't miss Kate Capshaw in Codename Dancer. Tonight on the Lifetime Evening Movie. Now, stay tuned for shopping the Lifetime way. It's free. Watch Supermarket Sweep and Shop Till You Drop on the Big Time on Lifetime. Next.
You're watching Lifetime Television.